Living the good fat life with your host Karen and Sherri. They'll help everything align for your body, soul, and mind. The good fat life, whether change comes slow or dramatically. The good fat life will help you sort things out organically.
Every time I laugh, I try not to laugh. I'm like, I'm not going to laugh this time. And I laugh every time. I love that song. Hi, Sherri.
It does. And it just kind of brings, I don't know, it just brings us down to like.
It's time for a theme song.
Yeah, exactly. And that reminder of just
we have a theme song.
Life, right? Yeah. So
it's very motivating, isn't it? Having a theme song. Yeah.
It is. It's kind of like setting a vision in a sense of like what you want your life to look like.
Yeah.
And then when you hear it, it's like it takes you right there.
Yeah. I would like to challenge our listeners today to maybe just write their own little theme song. What would that be? What would be in your theme song, guys? So think about that. Maybe write it down.
Write it down.
What would be in your theme song? Yeah, journal that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And if you want to put it to music, I got a text on my way over here that one of our listeners had done exactly that.
She wrote a theme song?
She wrote a song about one of our podcasts.
Stop it.
No,
what?
I'm not
really?
kidding.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
What podcast?
So, the one with Dr. Sean DeParano.
Wow, you really buried the lead on that one. How exciting.
About the apology you never received.
Oh, I love that.
So we'll cycle back to that.
Okay, cool.
So how cool is I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
So.
it obviously motivated somebody, and we have somebody here today that's very motivating, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We have another great guest.
We have, and we're so excited about this. We have our new issue.
Good Fat Life
is our new issue, and it's beautiful. And I have to say, I think this one has really pushed me to change my life in ways I never thought possible.
I have to say that I just noticed that the avocado's gotten a new fresh look with little new shoes and everything. Upgrade. I love that. You guys check her out.
She has.
She's all pimped out. I love it.
I know. So now I got to find those shoes.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You got to find those shoes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because good fat gives you a healthy heart.
Yes. And a beautiful look and feel, right?
Oh, yeah. So thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
So, and we have a new writer with us, Mr. Damon Johnson, and he debuted in the magazine this issue, and he's writing on health and wellness. And anyway, he has A2 Fitness Professionals. Is that right, yeah. Damon? Okay.
Yeah, Damon, welcome.
And he's got a fascinating story. And I just a couple things. He was a retired military combat veteran. Is there a difference between combat versus military?
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just didn't know. And he helped coordinate the U.S. Army Master Fitness Program.
Wow.
Which is, I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, that had to be quite intense. Yeah.
And then he also worked with NBC's The Biggest Loser.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting too. But I mean, those are part of what created Damon's story, and but he's doing so many other things that have built on that, and I can't wait to have him tell us about it. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, thank y'all for having me. It is a pleasure. I tell you, the things that you mentioned is just like mere chapters in the book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But isn't that, I mean, that's a great point.
Your body of work, right?
And as we talk about, living the good fat life, for us, it's about, there's chapters, right? And so it's not one thing. It's a series. It's a body of things, and they all kind of inform and build the other.
Oh, yeah.
So where do you want to start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long ago. I don't know. I guess I'm still having fun. So anytime someone says, well, "Where do you want to start?" It's all been fun. It's been a fun ride. So I really.
So, well, how did you start? Like, how did you start your fitness journey? Like, where would you start your story at? Like,
if I had a start, because it's kind of sort of like a million pieces to a really odd puzzle. Okay. That came out to be a pretty good one.
We love odd puzzles. Yeah.
So I left home back in 1992 to join the military, obviously.
And how old were you?
17 at the time. So so I was a I'd like to say I was a really good high school athlete. I wrestled. Then I went on to wrestle for the military. But it was one of those things that, okay, well, you go in for service to country, but you still love this sport. So you still consider yourself an athlete. You're just now a soldier/athlete.
Wow. Was that in the Army?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was really, really, really tough to decipher between, okay, do I really pursue my hobby or do I pursue a lifelong career? And then with the juggles, that kind of opened up the light to health and wellness, because I had to overcome different obstacles than a normal athlete. So
can you tell us about some of those obstacles?
Yeah. So, you typically and I don't want to say as a regular athlete, but as an athlete, it's scripted. Okay, I wake up, I go to practice, I go train, I'm making sure I'm eating right, go to sleep, recover, train again, and the cycle continues.
Is that what athlete is? I've never been in touch with that. That's awesome. I think I could attempt part of that. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So when you add the equation of military in, is so many different components.
Yeah.
You like to say, okay, I'm going to be in this one single routine, but then a deployment may happen, extra training may happen. So it kind of the mental thing kicks in, and then when you hit the mental wall, that's what we don't realize the power of the mental component.
So that's so interesting that you say that. This week that's come up on so many times with people, and Karen and I have talked about that a couple times this week too. That we're not trained, and there's no judgment here. It's just that as human beings, we're not trained how to kind of like step into the growth that's around us mentally, and it creates all kinds of anxiety.
Yeah.
And
illness,
doubt
and disease
and lack of self-confidence and bad behaviors. And so what are some of the things that you had to learn to step into that? And it sounds like what you were stepping into was good for you. It was growth. It was what you wanted to do. But there's this like disconnect gap of my brain hasn't caught up with the world I'm living.
Well, I'm sure the discipline helped and the military helped you stay sort of on course. But also you must have had to like go back in between like your champion brain and your military brain. But it was probably crossover a lot of the things too, right? That helped you.
Yeah. So the philosophy that I use is you gotta kind of sort of unlearn habits and learn habitually.
Yeah.
You relearn, and if you're open to relearning and readjusting, then you'll do just fine.
That's the secret to life, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like, when I'm like, I've done it this way always, I'm always
and
gonna.
That's the point. Yeah. We get so used to doing things one certain way. The anxiety is created because when something new comes and we don't really know, how do I deal with that?
Right.
So you have to kind of sort of retrain yourself and have a good support system to help during that retraining process.
That's also huge, isn't it? To having those people around you that can help guide you through that process in a safe way.
Yeah.
So what? So we'll come back to that in a little bit. Okay. So you went through that, and so how long? You ended up staying in the military for quite a while, didn't you?
21
you retired.
years.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations!
But who's counting?
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And
3 months and 6 hours.
Did you retire as an officer? Or were you enlisted? Tell us about that.
Not enlisted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your rank when you retired?
First sergeant.
Oh, thank you. And so you went in and so you were a combat. Soldiers. Can you tell us what that means exactly? What does that mean when you hear that?
Now it's pretty much if you went into the military after 1992, you've probably seen combat. So with the amount of deployments, and if I had to like put them all in chronological order, it would be a bunch. So just you just see so many different things. And in a nutshell, that's what it is. You've seen combat.
Yeah. And how do you get your head straight with that so you can sort of leave the combat behind and keep growing and changing? Like, how do you compartmentalize that?
It's still work in progress, honestly.
Yeah, that is really honest.
It's really work in progress. And
it will be probably the rest of your life?
It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
And as long as you understand that and you use the resources available, you'll be fine.
Do you think that that's where people get in trouble with PTSD and stuff, where they're not vulnerable about it and don't realize it is a lifelong process and they try to rush through it and be macho and it's not really like a culture where you can heal from that?
Yeah, we've gotten better over time.
Right.
But initially that was it. And the way it was set up, it was tricky. You come back from all of these deployments and you have the guys going this way and you have the guys that's going this way. The guys that are going this way are actually going to see the Veterans Hospital folks to talk about the issues. The guys that are going this way are saying, no, I can deal with it on my own. So it's a tough call. And even me in the beginning, I'm like, no, I don't need to see anyone to talk about this.
Right.
Karen comes from a military background.
I was a military wife for 22 years. But what's interesting, too, is that I realized that even though the military is trying to help more now, it's people that have been hurt in that system helping people hurt in that system. So it's like almost like we need outsiders to help, right? That the system maybe needs to be revamped a bit. It's changing and growing, but that definitely needs to be. And we need more people like you speaking out about it, that that it is a lifelong process. Well, and for other people around you to understand that.
Yeah, more education and more understanding. It's to understand what, when you talk 20 plus years, that's, a quarter of a lifetime. So it's tough unless you really open up and understand this person spent a quarter of their life,
in combat.
Doing,
So, wow.
Yeah.
So how did the fitness, because you think, I don't know, I guess I think of the military as being really fit and healthy or so how did that play into you? But then you see the reality and it doesn't look like that's true.
I mean, when you look at him, it does. When you look at him, it does.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand.
Like, where's the disconnect?
Or how does that? What does that look like?
Another one that's really work in progress. So so military. So you have your active duty soldier. You have your reservists. You have your National Guards soldiers. And then so when you talk about your reservists and your National Guard soldiers, they're I don't want to say they have another life, but they have another life, obviously. So they're in serving weekends, and then if they get called up, they actually serve active duty. But it's the equivalent of me and you, for instance. Let's say we know this is our job. So we go to work from 9 to 5, theoretically. And then after work, do you have the motivation to go to the gym and exercise, go work out, or do you just want to relax and get ready to go to work the next day? So the added stress on a reservist and a National Guard soldier is they have to have the discipline, the accountability, and someone to help them to understand, you have to maintain your
You have to be able to move through both lives.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that would be more challenging.
So it's really tough. Yeah. My hat is off to all reservists and across the board. But yeah.
Wow. So you go in the military and they pick you to start helping with the fitness, or you just sort of follow to walk us through that process. How did that work, and what did you accomplish?
Yeah, that one came from it's half of a volunteer, half of a voluntold.
Right. It always is. It's always mostly voluntold.
So that one came kind of sort of, I was physically fit going in,
right,
because I was an athlete. So, you back then you would take a Army physical fitness test. And just based on your scores, consistent scores, I went into my first sergeant and commander, and they said, hey, you pretty good at this physical fitness stuff.
Fit the suit, right? Yeah. You're like Johnny Bravo.
How about we send you to this course? And I'm young, so I'm like, yeah, sure. Sign me up for everything.
Well, not like you could say no.
Exactly. So that was that voluntold.
I like
that he's
attitude,
right?
I
like that he faked it.
So you go in, you take the course, and it's pretty much it teaches about all of the other components to exercise, to health and wellness, you know, and then you take those back to your unit and you attempt to teach those to every soldier in that unit. And then, you know, we won't kid anyone. It's weight control issues across the board, just like it is in the civilian sector, it is in the military.
Right.
So they came up with the Army weight control program as well.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have to tell you. Pretty much know.
Was very stressful in our lives. It's like, oh, don't eat that. Your waist is not. Oh, I got to wrap your we would do
body fat.
Oh, we do body wraps and everything, ridiculous things. Yeah. It's like could just go work out. Like we spent hours doing silly stuff that wasn't. You know what I mean? Like because you.
Did you have to weigh in at certain
Not
times?
me, but Mike did, and his waist was always too big because that's just how his body is. Yeah. So we were constantly like wrapping his waist. It's just crazy stuff,
Oh yeah, I can tell you a million stories.
Right?
But yeah,
like he's fainting because he hasn't eaten in 3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to digress here for a second.
Okay.
Because fitness is weight has always been an issue for me. And my dad sent me a scale. I gotta love my dad, right?
Okay.
He is. Isn't that the thing that every daughter wants from their dad?
Sure.
So 2 weeks ago, my dad sends me this scale. He's a retired physician and so interested in an organic farmer, and he's so. This is what he lives the good fat life from the get-go.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he sends me this scale. He goes, "You're talking about fat. You need to understand body fat." And I'm like, "Okay, Dad, thanks." But anyways, this scale measures like 10 things.
Oh my gosh.
Your visceral fat, your muscle, your blah, 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 your blood pressure. And you can have up to 8 people on one scale. So it's like you could have a scale, let's party.
Oh, sweet. At the same time? Or?
Well, each person gets right.
How much do we weigh together?
Like, but it's like $33 for this thing. It was really, really reasonable, right? So I set it up and, do the thing. I'm seeing the numbers and I'm like, okay. But it has guides.
Were you depressed or happy or a little bit of both?
No, I was a little bit of both.
Yeah. You should bring that scale in.
But the reason I'm bringing it up, Demond, is because for the first time in my life,
you knew your numbers.
And I'm such a know your numbers person, right? And so here I have these numbers, and it's like, oh, I want to build muscle. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to build muscle and build strength. So for the first time in my life, I got my head off of what my weight is.
Get skinny, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What my weight is, I want to build strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last 10 days, I've been motivated to do weights.
All right, thank you, Dad.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dad. Paid off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dad. And so the people around me. I love to walk. But walking just keeps you at a certain level unless I'm marathon training. But even then, you can be a marathoner, which I've done a number of, and still have 20 extra pounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyways, the moral of that story is, and what I'm so excited and I couldn't wait to tell you, was just having that scale and seeing that number switch something in my brain. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm excited about doing things that change those numbers, but it's from a let's build muscle.
Yeah.
It's living in abundance rather than lack.
Exactly, Karen. It's a totally different mindset, and my husband's on board too, and so we're really having fun with that. Like, what can we do today that's going to build muscle?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So anyways.
Yeah.
I was so excited.
Good. Yeah. At the end of the show, we'll have a push-up competition.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I was up to 24 boy push-ups.
Wow.
A year ago, and then with COVID, I don't know. Anyways, but that's a whole nother topic. But I'm started to get back into that.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I realized, Amant, is that even for my kids, I always was like, I was into Montessori and like follow the child. And I really didn't want to like pressure them to do sports they didn't want to do. But I'm like, you have to try. You've got to keep trying to find what lights you up. And they're not very athletic. They're more creative. But I realized even as an adult too, it's so important to be physical fit to serve yourself and others. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just for you. It really is for everyone, for you to be in the best physical shape. for the environment, for the people around you, so people don't have to take care of you when you're old. There's so many things involved in it. And just to be able to be strong and on your own, that's super important. I wish I would have put more value in that. And we can still get stronger, even now. But it was just like, I didn't even consider that. And now I'm like, oh, that's so important. So you can be of service to others and be your best your whole life, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really motivating to me now.
And I know that you, because you've said that you work with some people in their 80s.
We just had another little lady, 80 years old, that walked in
awesome.
2 days ago.
Awesome.
That is just so cool, right?
And did you do your 5 components of health? So you do 5 components of health with your training. Can you tell us about your training and how you work with people?
Yeah. And that's kind of sort of, so that's how we address your overall health and wellness. And that's what I was going to chime in when we were talking about the physical, because physical is just one component. And it's, believe it or not, it's like one of the smaller components.
I would believe it, because if your brain's not engaged, nothing's happening.
So when we're talking about health and wellness, you got to remember you're talking about yourself, obviously. We got to make sure that we're emotionally well. So self, relationship, financial, spiritual, and then physical. But we like to use like this little circular format, because if one of those is out of alignment, then the other ones will follow. So it's got to be a complete total health and wellness.
Right. Because I know when I was a teenager, it was like, oh, I'm so thin, but I haven't eaten in days. I'm going to collapse any moment now, and I can't think straight. And, you know what I mean? People do that all the time. Like, I'm killing it because I'm fitting into my skinny jeans, you know, and really everything else is a mess.
So to talk about, I'm curious about The Biggest Loser. So how did that happen, and what was that like?
Yeah, what was that like?
It happened by luck and by chance, and just being.
Luck favors the prepared, right?
Yeah. It was really fun. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I was working at a gym, just kind of sort of helping people out, and we have a lot of contestants from the show that actually come from the Michigan area here.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
So yeah.
I don't know if that's a.
So we had a couple from Ann Arbor. We had a few from Ypsilanti, et cetera, et cetera. So
were you actually on the show?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And where was it filmed?
In California, in Hollywood. Yeah. At this place called The Ranch out there. Okay. But so how it happened was season 9. Before season 9, of course, it was a young man that was on season 2. And we did some work together. And for me, I'm like, you want to lose some weight, you want to get in shape, sure, I'd love to help you. So it turned out really good. And then that was the end of the story. I'm like, okay, well, if he's feeling good, I'm feeling good, so life is good.
Yeah.
And then I got an email back around season 9, prior to season 9, saying, hey, we have a father and daughter who are actually going on to the show.
I see that in Sherri's future, her and her dad.
Yeah, especially since that scale thing.
We're not going on that show. We're going to do our own show. We'll do our own show.
I mean, and so I got contacted, and they said, hey, do you want to work with them? And I'm like, I want to work with anyone that wants to get healthy. So, I had no idea it was going to spin into something that was that interesting. Let's call it interesting.
Well, tell us what was interesting
about it.
So,
because I was still active duty military at the time. So I was already here working with, at the time, 9 reserve centers. And I was working on their training, their physical fitness, et cetera, et cetera.
Are you like a super badass? What's your tact with people? Are you a good cop, bad cop?
I can't tell you.
You have to kill me.
And where was this? Was that in California at the time? Were you in California
so I was back and forth to California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I had a really good chain of command here because I did a lot of juggling. Like I would go out. One year I was in King City. Yeah, out in California. No one knows King City. But I was out there doing some desert training with the troops. And I literally had to pack like a whole separate set. I had like this dual personality because I literally left training and rushed over to Hollywood to change and to finish the finale and everything else.
Did you get razzed a lot by the other soldiers? I'm guessing you probably did.
So one of the biggest stories at the time was I was out in the field, and a soldier comes up to me, and she says, sweetest little soldier ever, but she says, I know you, I recognize you. And here I am, like all dusty and dirty in an army uniform. And she says, you're that guy Harvey, right? I'm like, you were so close, but that's the wrong show. So it was a different show, and it was this Marine guy who was the trainer. I'm like, you crushed my ego.
Close enough.
Nonetheless, at least you said you recognized me.
And she saw that stardom in you.
Yes.
That stage presence.
Yeah.
So, that's all right.
God likes to keep us humble.
Yeah, that was my biggest claim to fame.
Yeah.
A mistaken identity.
Me too. That's hysterical.
So tell us a little bit about. So you retired from the military, and now you're in Ann Arbor, and you have A2 Fitness, and then you've got a couple other things that you're doing as well. So, so how's that work for you?
It's going really good. So A2 Fitness is what we do is we do fitness therapy. It's like a continuum for.
I love that fitness therapy.
So it's a really amazing thing. We found it like years ago, and it's a continuum for folks that have had any traumatic brain injury, any real like significant life altering event. And we typically work with them right after they get a diagnosis from the doctor, or either they're done with physical therapy. Because physical therapy will go for so many sessions, and then you're on your own. So we found that this population of folks really need someone to continue working with them. So we pretty much fill that gap. And then in Commerce Township, we just opened up A2 Integrative Wellness. So the reason why we went with Integrative Wellness is because it's literally bridging the gap, with all forms of wellness. And we talk about every one of them, whether it's from massage therapy to yoga to physical therapy to vocational therapy.
So you just opened a center in Commerce Township with that?
Congratulations.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we should come to it.
Yeah,
I'd like
definitely.
to come see it.
Yeah, check us out. And then we have a few other projects in the making. So.
Yeah.
Who gets to come to your facilities? Do you have to come from a rehab situation?
No, everyone. It's open to everyone.
Okay. Does insurance cover it all?
We do insurance. We do private pay. You name it, we do it. I mean, we do varsity sports. Right now, we're working with a high school hockey team.
Okay. So, and it's all ages?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All capabilities?
Our youngest client was 7.
Wow.
And our oldest is 92.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the psyche too. I wanted to kind of circle back to the psyche of the people. So I'm guessing on The Biggest Loser, when you show up, you're in great shape. And what is their mind like? Because that's got to be a real vulnerable place to be, like in that space where your body's so out of control, and to be vulnerable and not feel like you're being judged. Like, how do you help those people feel okay about where they are? Because we have one of our great friends of the show, Evan. He talks about how you really have to meet your body where it is, and how like we talked about, like, you wouldn't say to like a 5-year-old kid, like, get out of here, you're so fat, like, don't come back until you've lost weight. Like, you don't treat yourself like that. So how are you helping these people like treat themselves better and not feel like so vulnerable, like lesser than or anything? How do you keep them in that space of like, you're just okay where you are and we need to work on it? Like,
yeah. So to understand the psychological component.
Yeah.
So when I initially started in the field, we go in and we become personal trainers. But I would always tell every young trainer that came after was, you have to remember your title. It's personal trainer. So it's the reason why the personal part is first, because you have to always approach it personal. So when you sit down and you meet someone, listen to them. And if you listen to them, you pretty much know what they're looking for, what they need, and what they want.
Yeah. And how do you make them feel at ease, just like it's okay where you are? Like, I'm not judging. It's just like, I'm just here to help. Like, did they have any of that? Like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not this. And how do you change that sort of stinking thinking?
By by listening to them, develop their own, if you will, treatment plan. So
give
everyone,
them the power back.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
You have to empower everyone to make change.
Because they feel out of control, right?
Yeah.
They've lost
Yeah.
control. So they
And that's
give them the
big thing,
control
yeah.
back.
It's this big control thing, yeah.
Yeah. And because we really are all in control, even if it seems out of control, we've controlled the out of controlness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
That's my intellectual trademark.
Yeah.
I'll let you have it. Okay. It's a freebie. Well, yeah, because that's so important, because I know a lot of times in my life, I haven't showed up because I'm like, that person's so in shape. Like, they're going to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't, or you don't go to the gym because you're like, oh, everyone's going to be looking at me. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm too fat to be at the gym, which is so, that's ridiculous. I'm too fat to go to the gym, which is so ridiculous. Like, that's exactly, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're so much, especially for women. And I'm a yoga instructor, and I used to work with women that wouldn't even go to yoga classes because they felt so ashamed and like judged, you know? And so that's really important to just have a safe space for people. So thank you for doing that.
No, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
So, and let's talk about, I love that you've got older people that are coming in. Mm-hmm. So that sounds to me like you're never too old.
Never.
We start where we are, right? That's one of my favorite things is start where we are, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to. That's no other choice. Seems so simple.
Well, or you could not start, right?
Yeah, you could just
That's the alternative.
Oh yeah, that's the
not
worst.
Start, right?
Yeah.
So how does that work? Is it what happens as we get older and you start your training later in life?
Have you had anyone like start really as an elderly person that's never really worked out or been into physical fitness? Yeah.
All the time. I mean, it's never too late for that little bell to go off, and then you say, "Well, I want to try something new." You know, I had an 81-year-old gentleman, and his son was a really, really good tennis player. Mm-hmm. So he came in and he says, "You know, my goal is to beat my son."
I like that.
You waited 81 years to do it, but let's do it. So, yeah, I mean, everyone, you know.
And has he beat his son?
Well.
Getting there?
Work in progress.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Has he beat him mentally, at least?
That's it. You know, the victory is showing up there. I mean, can you imagine, you know, your 81-year-old dad showing up saying, let's go.
Starting anything new at 81. Yeah, good for him. Yeah.
But that's so fun, and that's one of the things I'm loving about like working with my dad with a magazine.
Yeah, it goes back to play.
It goes back to play, and so we have these conversations that are off the flipping charts that we never had before because we were being dad-daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, or you were just in a different space, and so it's really fun because it's like anything's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
how has COVID changed people's opinions and desires for physical fitness? Have you noticed?
In the beginning, yeah, and we dare I say we paid the price for it because, you know, in the beginning, again, it's not only just the physical component, but it was a big kick to the mental psyche of people because we were all shuttered in for quite a while, and movement is the key. So without getting out the social component, the being active, it was a real kick in the beginning. But what we did to kind of sort of combat that is we opened everything up for online classes, online training, because we're in the internet age. So we would just, you know, pop on all our different social avenues and say, hey, if you want to join, we're here. We'd love to have you. So the social component, that's another piece that we always want to make sure that we're doing. We want to be able to reach out and touch people no matter if you're on the other side of the country or not.
Yeah. So and just making people feel you're so glad they're here. That's, the connection.
And what are you seeing now? It seems like there's a lot of... And I'm not even going to put any words out. What are you seeing now with people that now that things are opening up, and
how has COVID affected the general person's body?
Yeah, what are you seeing?
It's taking a physical toll. You know, you got the simplest versions of, hey, I gained the COVID pounds, and then again back to the mental hurdle, which is the toughest part, you know, getting over the mental hurdle.
We've mentally and physically atrophied, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was tough for people to even socialize. Again, it was like relearning how to.
That's so interesting that there's a lot of stress around that, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Just people being in the same room together.
Yeah.
My kids, when they went back to school, they were their friends. Some of their friends haven't gone back yet, and they were saying to their friends, "If you think you know how to socialize, wait till you go back to school. You've totally forgotten."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even my teenagers realize that. Like, no, you've forgotten.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's a lot of anxiety around that, which is so interesting, right?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest for because one of the things that we always ask is, what would you say to somebody that wants to make a change, do something? What could they do right now today?
It doesn't cost any money.
That
they don't
helps
have to,
them be weller. I'm weller, is that a word?
more well. Yeah.
More well.
I like your first word.
Weller?
I'm a Southern guy, so Weller is good for me.
Sounds like a fancy kid's name, like Weller Johnson or Weller. Something. Yeah.
What would you say to be a Weller person?
Find your fun factor. So find something that's fun.
Yeah,
Find something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
go out and play. I will say it a million times. Movement is the key. So you don't have to. People have this myth that in order to be fit, I have to go to the gym. I have to lift weights. I have to do this. No, you can go out, ride your bike, go take a walk. Just to find your fun factor, because if you approach it as fun, it'll survive the test of time. If you approach it like a second job, like, I have to go exercise, it's not going to last long.
Well, that's
no, for sure.
It won't last at all.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Yeah, and do whatever it takes to make it fun, right?
Yeah.
And
even if it's the number on your scale, right?
Yeah. Well, people have different interpretations of fun.
No, but it's the straight
thing.
I like that we have grandkids, right? And they're little, and so I feel like I'm pretty flexible until the little ones are around and you're up and down off the floor, and then it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
Never let them see you sweat.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Or groan when you
Well, I just moved into a new house and I don't have a bed frame yet, and my bed is on the floor, and I'm like, I probably got about 2 more years so I could actually get up off this thing without like the I better get to the gym or get a platform. Or both.
And that's kind of like when but to your point, that I found this issue has been the most transformational issue for me from that perspective is really what is play.
Yeah.
And I thought I wasn't playing much, but I did realize that this is play, right? This is work, but it's still play.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing I keep hearing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, everyone keeps saying the first rule is have fun. Have fun. And it's like, oh yeah, you always forget that. It's like, okay, we'll do all this and then hopefully we'll have fun later or after we get it. Like, why don't we have fun doing it? Yeah.
And to be in the moment. It's like, okay, be right here, right now, not thinking about, when I leave here, I got to go blah, blah, blah. Right? Let's just be right here. And that's
because you're always okay right in the moment. You're always actually okay right in that second if you really think about it, you know? And so except when you feel like, like you're being held in like a forearm plank or something for 20 minutes. You feel like you're going to die. But that's not okay. I'm going to tell you. It feels like 20 minutes. Yes. So if someone like me comes in, how do you help me find what I'm looking for? Like, say I just come in, I'm like, I don't know, I just want to get stronger, healthier. Like, where do I start with you? Like, if I came in, like, what happens?
So if you came in, I would, we would, let me not say I, because the whole crew we'd obviously greet you, show you around, and then find out, okay, well, tell me a little bit about what's your idea of physical fitness. I try to get you to open up because it's in there. You wouldn't have walked in the door if you didn't have some direction.
So it's not really based. You guys don't really base it on like, because no matter how thin I got or whatever, every time I looked at like the BMI scale, I was always on the heavy side. I would be like looking emaciated, and I was still, my BMI was like on the heavy side and stuff. So you base it more on like lifestyle,
on real life goals.
On real life goals,
not like
on charts and graphs.
I got a vacation coming up, and
I gotta get my
fit this bikini. Because, okay, so what are you going to do after vacation?
Right.
You know?
Pig out and Me and my cousins, we used to buy everything super small. We'd wear like a size 10, we'd buy a size 6. We'll get into it. That was like our whole life trying to get into something tiny. And of course we never did. We'd be harassed. And
then you have this closet.
Yeah, we have a closet full of tiny clothes. So if you know anyone that's a size 6, I got lots of clothes. Yeah. So it's like, be realistic, right? Yeah. And how do you help people set realistic goals? Because that's hard too, right?
By getting them to talk about life.
Yeah.
If I can hold a real conversation with you, then we can establish goals together. I remember, you. I'm trying to get to know you. So the first part about health and wellness is getting to know one another. Mm-hmm. And then, if we overcome that obstacle, that hurdle, then the rest is all. It's all fun.
Well, also getting to know yourself, right? Because I have no idea what my health and wellness really looks like. What lights me up. Some of it I do, but not really entirely. But I guess it's sort of a work in progress to your whole life, right?
Yeah. The maintenance phase is ongoing.
Yeah, right. So I love yoga and paddleboarding and those kind of things, but I hate lifting weights and a lot of stuff. But I have to eventually incorporate that because I'm losing muscle tone and everything, and maybe do bands or something more. But I just don't know what it is yet. I got to figure that out. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a process, right? And it changes, right, from year to year. And
well, it should. Mm-hmm. And that's we got to remember that it's like a constant evolution. So if it is changing, then that's a good thing. If it isn't changing, then
because you get comfortable too in the in the zone, right? Yeah. Well, tell us about your workout. How do you keep fit? What do you do? Is it an impossible standard for it?
You want all of the secrets.
I want all the secrets. Yeah.
So I'm always moving anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of my job. I get to constantly just bounce around all day long.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly burning calories. But believe it or not, how my workouts is I find inspiration through every one of the persons that I see.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I feed off of the energy that's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about diet? What kind of diet are you on?
I don't really. Diets,
that's good. That's helpful.
I do mindful eating. So
perfect.
The way it is, because I never want anyone to be restrictive. Because if you become restrictive, then you're setting yourself up for failure in the end. Yeah. So what it is as long as you're mindful. Okay, if you come up to 2 different items, then you have to be able to tell yourself, well, if I eat that, I know I need to exercise 30 minutes more. If I don't eat it, then I don't have to exercise 30 minutes more. What's it worth to me? And then if you can hold yourself accountable in that setting, then it's fine. But I don't like to restrict. I like to tell people be healthy. So find healthy alternatives, but don't become super restrictive with a fad diet.
What about sleep? Are you on a sleep routine? Because people don't realize how important sleep is.
Sleep hygiene is really important. And that's where a lot of people fail because they don't sleep, including me and my military buddies. We'll get 3 to 4 hours sleep and say, I'm hardcore, I can do this. But on the outside maybe, but on the inside, it's a train wreck waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure.
So sleep hygiene and even hydration.
So what does sleep hygiene look like? The same bedtime every night? Or what does sleep hygiene look like?
Not necessarily the same bedtime, but you want to be somewhere around the same amount of hours of sleep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so all right.
So one of my big secrets is I'll try to sneak in a nap here.
Yeah, we got a secret.
That is so
healthy.
I
love a good nap. Yeah.
It's
I actually lost the capacity to take naps for many years. I couldn't take a nap to save my life. It's back though, which I'm really happy about. I love a good nap. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that? Where would they find you?
Just gotta send up a bat symbol.
Or a fat symbol.
And I just swoop in. And save the day.
I like it.
Yeah. Or so that you could contact me obviously via email at Demond DEMOND at a2fitnesspro.com or via phone 734-222-5080.
Okay, and they could also find you in
Good Fat Life magazine.
There you have it.
Magazine.
Yeah.
Go to goodfatlife.com or you can click on our QR code to get the magazine and read all about Demond.
Yeah, and he's going to be doing a lot of great features
Yes.
over what we hope are many years to come.
Yeah.
Because this is, as you say, it's a process. It's a work in process.
And we have so many more secrets to find out.
Yeah.
So we're on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and thank you for being here today. And thank you so much for your service to the military and to the American people, and also just what you're doing out there to help people. Thank you for that.
Oh, no, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah. It's, every time I talk to you, I learn something new. Like, he does it. And I know that there's many other chapters that we didn't even touch on.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
It's been enlightening. Yeah.
Stay tuned. Right.
Yeah. I think it's time to go live our good fat life. Now we have more information to do it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Until next time.